Welcome back to CJeanne Clarity, where we heal, grow, awaken, and reclaim the parts of our lives and ourselves the world tried to silence. I'm your host, CJeanne, and today we're having a conversation that I believe so many people desperately need right now. But first, before we dive in, a quick disclaimer. This podcast is for informational, inspirational purposes only. I'm not a licensed therapist, counselor, or medical professional, and the content shared here is based on personal experiences and insights. If you're facing significant challenges, please seek the support of a qualified professional. Remember, your journey is unique, and you deserve the care and guidance that is right for you. Well, welcome. I am so happy to have you here. We're talking about something that's really important in society today. My title of my podcast is It's Time, Breaking Free from Fear, Conditioning, and Becoming Who You Were Always Meant to Be. You know, it's a great information here for us today of everything that we go through. For years, many of us were conditioned to fear everything. Fear making mistakes, fear disappointing people, fear speaking up, fear choosing ourselves, fear being too much, fear being different, fear leaving toxic environments, fear asking questions, fear trusting our own voice. And little by little, we forgot who we really were. In this deeply healing and empowering episode of CJeanne Clarity, we're talking about how fear was planted into many of us from childhood through family systems, workplaces, relationships, religion, school systems, and society itself. This episode is about reclaiming your voice, your intuition, your courage, and your authentic identity. You'll learn how fear conditioning actually works, signs you've been living in survival mode, how toxic environments keep people emotionally trapped, why you constantly second guess yourself, the difference between wisdom and fear, how to begin rebuilding self-trust, 5 healing journal prompts, practical ways to start breaking free, and a 15-minute guided meditation for releasing fear and reclaiming yourself. It's time to stop shrinking yourself to survive. It's time to remember who you are. Oh boy, there's so much that we'll be talking about today. I think it's immensely empowering what we'll be doing. You know, we're talking about fear, not healthy caution, not wisdom, but conditioned fear. The kind of fear that keeps people trapped in toxic jobs, relationships, environments, and versions of themselves. The kind of fear that teaches people to abandon themselves in order to survive. But today we're breaking those chains. And it's important because I don't know about you. Have you ever noticed how so many of us are terrified simply being ourselves? Terrified to speak, terrified to fail, terrified to disappoint people, terrified to leave toxic situations, and terrified to choose our own path. But what if that fear was never truly yours? What if you were conditioned from childhood to believe that safety came through compliance? Ouch. That one really hits home. And if you notice, we're in a fear-based system where if you're not compliant, then that means you're not safe. That love came through perfection. That acceptance came through your silence, right? And survival meant abandoning yourself because that's what many of us were taught. And over time, we became so focused on being everybody else's perfect character, which gets really exhausting because that means a lot of them, right? That we completely lost connection with who we actually are. Today's episode is not about blaming, it's about awakening. I think that's one important thing is it's time to awaken, find that clarity, and I'm here to guide you through it because it's time. It's time to break those fear patterns. It's time to stop living small. It's time to stop apologizing for existing. And it's time to reclaim your voice, your intuition, your peace, and your identity. And if nobody has told you this lately, you were never created just to survive fear. You were created to live fully. I think that's something that has come into my mind is that I just don't want to survive. I want to thrive. I want to live fully. And when we start doing that, we can start enjoying life more, right? So how fear conditioning began, right? Let's talk about it. Childhood conditioning. How many times when we were little, we were told, oh no, don't you dare drop that milk or orange juice or anything like that. Dear Lord, it was like, something that had happened and you're thinking, or if you broke something or anything that wasn't done the right way, no matter where you were at. It could have been home, school, church, wherever. And it was like death. Like you had done the unmentionable or thinkable, right? Being rewarded for obedience instead of authenticity. How many times we sit in school and for being a good little child, we were rewarded with stickers, with candy, with so many things. My goodness, you think that we were being trained to be good little pets. And mind you, I get it. Pets are different. They're lovable. They're kind. But they do not have the soul like we do. I know some of you are going to tell me beg to differ. But I believe both deserve respect. But we're talking about humans today. I'm just trying to get something in there. So being punished for questioning things. How many times I even saw it as an adult when a person, I said, well, you should ask why. And this employee said, oh, I did question my manager on it. And my manager told me that I should not be questioning anything and that I should just be quiet and just do what I was told. And my mouth dropped and that poor individual just left because they saw their humanity being taken away from them. They weren't questioning like, you're dumb. No, they were questioning because then they could do their job more efficiently. I'm like, wow. Learning to fear mistakes. How many? I think that is all society. We're taught that if we do a mistake, life has ended. Or now you will be punished the rest of your life. No wonder people are scared. The thing is people think, oh, God's going to do this. You know what? I believe God's a lot more forgiving than that. He gave you Jesus and to help you through everything. He didn't say, oh, now you're just going to go to hell and too bad and I don't care. Even though that a lot of religious institutions will preach that. There's consequences, but you know what? Even in science and everything, there's always a consequence to everything. So it's not like it's something new, right? Let's see, what else? Growing up, walking on eggshells. Oh my goodness. Tiptoeing around people. Sometimes you wouldn't even stop physically breathing. So then that way they wouldn't even know you were there. I know you've been there. Becoming hyper aware of other people's emotions. Oh my gosh. I am so glad I'm no longer married. The thing is, and I'm not saying that I'm never going to, but the individual that was in my life, my goodness, I had to be the emotional thermometer. And no, we're not going to blame women because you know what? The thing is yes, we have self-agency, but you know what? We have hormones. And I would love it if we didn't have those, up and downs and stuff like that. And even then, we still take a lot of restraint. But the thing is, what I'm saying is there's other people who use the emotions against us. Losing connection with intuition. How many times do you forget about that? Why? Because you have to keep being safe. What else? Many of us were trained to perform instead of live. Oh my gosh. You see it even everywhere. Even the best performers, are out there. Even if it's their career, they're trying to do it, right? You're incentivized. Some people became shapeshifters just to feel safe. Many different type of personalities you have to put towards people because, oh, heaven forbid, you are your authentic self. Fear became our operating system. The thing is, once you have that, it just sticks there and it's so hard to get rid of because there's that invisibility that something might come at you. Where does it come from? Religious fear, family fear, workplace intimidation, fear-based authority, emotional manipulation. There's just way too much. Religion, right? There are purity cultures. We're telling you if you do this, you're going to get this. The thing is, I'm really upset because the more that I delve into the Bible, I see the reasonings why. Because there was a lot of stuff when they say you're unclean. But you know what? It was the words that they used back then. What they're saying is you can't do certain things because this is what's going to happen in like medical wise, right? Or even in our lives. It was a way to keep us safe from any type of disease or anything that could hurt us mentally. Family fear. How many times there's fear there, not being enough for parents or, whatever they're going through, parents. Or, I don't know, there's so many fears there. Workplace intimidation. I'm pretty sure everybody lives that every day. And it's too bad because if there is good companies out there, I commend you for treating people like human beings instead of, all these other fear-based places where they intimidate you. If you don't do this, then we're going to do this to you. If you don't do this, then guess what? You will have to basically go out there and be homeless. If you don't do this, we'll make sure you will never get a job. It's all there. Fear-based authority. How many times have people, they think that the authority that is going to be there to serve and protect actually are the ones who are causing the issues, right? Or emotional manipulation can happen within any of those areas. So signs you've been conditioned by fear. Number 1, constantly second guessing yourself. Even in school, how many times did we second guess ourselves? And usually our first response was the best. 2, feeling guilty for resting. Oh my goodness. Heaven forbid a mom feels tired because she's been up from 5 a.m. doing everything from working, the housework, kids, homework. And now you have to, and now this is toxic, okay, for the toxic people. And then you have to go there and practically babysit your toxic, narcissistic spouse. And you pass out at night, right? Heaven forbid you take a nap in the afternoon. Over-explaining everything. How many times have you to plead your case with people? You know how much I get tired of that? Nobody should have to be over-explaining things. Fear of disappointing people. Wow. Now people are afraid to disappoint people. But it's okay if you disappoint yourself. I don't think so. 5, chronic anxiety around decision making. 6, needing external validation. 7, fear of speaking honestly. 8, feeling frozen or stuck. That one's the hardest one when you just basically are frozen because you don't know which way you're going to go because heaven forbid you choose the wrong door, I guess you would say. 9, people pleasing. 10, feeling like you're too much or not enough. Oh gosh, I never thought about that. We go through a lot of hot and colds and uncertainties. So say this in your head. Some people don't even realize they're living in fear because fear has become their normal. Yes. And it took me a lot of healing and doing the work to see this, that I was practically working in a fear-based society and it wasn't okay. So how fear keeps people controlled? Well, toxic workplaces, emotional manipulation, narcissistic relationships, systems that reward silence, fear of financial instability, fear of abandonment, fear of judgment. I think that's a lot. The thing is, in life, they're always telling you, why are you so afraid of many things? But you're like, after I just named all that stuff, my goodness, wow. And then they wonder why so many individuals are seeking assistance, or you have to feel judged because you want assistance. So, strong reflection for today. When people are afraid enough, they stop questioning what's hurting them. Gaslighting, gatekeeping, shame tactics, isolation, emotional exhaustion. No wonder I was tired so much after, my divorce from a narcissistic spouse. The thing is, the amount of gaslighting, thinking of maybe it was just me, or when they keep that information away from you. Shame. Oh my gosh. It was always, oh, well, you just don't love me. And you're thinking, what? Isolation. I felt like the most lonely wife ever. Even though I was practically being told my commands and directives that I had to do. I was always emotionally exhausted. So the moment of awakening, well, realizing you've been shrinking yourself, feeling emotionally exhausted, starting to question everything, listening to your intuition again, realizing fear isn't peace. So my important message for you is your awakening often begins the moment you become more afraid of losing yourself than losing approval. So how are we going to start breaking free? Practical healing steps. 1, start questioning fearful thoughts. Ask, who taught me this? Is this actually true? Does this belief help me grow or keep me trapped? 2, rebuild self-trust. Keep small promises to yourself. Make small decisions confidently. Stop outsourcing your intuition. 3, learn emotional regulation. Breathing exercises, grounding techniques, nervous system healing. I've been doing that recently and it feels amazingly great. I picked up the Qigong and there's Tai Chi, but it was amazing how relaxed I felt after it. To me, I believe is because we keep our bodies so tight. You find your own type of exercises that will help you, and you will see this. 4, stop explaining yourself constantly. You do not need permission to exist authentically. Think that again. You do not need permission, because for the longest time, they made me think I needed permission to even exist. And I said, oh no, I will not let you do that to me. 5, find safe people and environments. Healing requires emotional safety. Definitely. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people think they can manipulate you, because you do not have that safety. Distance yourself from chronic fear-based environments. I know some of us can't get rid of certain areas, but you're just going to have to find strategic ways of how to navigate through the storm, I like to call it, but at the same time, look for that beautiful sunny horizon. 6, accept that growth feels uncomfortable. Freedom can feel terrifying when you were trained to fear independence. I'm not going to lie to you. It is so scary. But every day I said, you know what? No, this is just too much what I want, and I'm going to go for it. What 5 journal prompts I'm going to give you. What fears have controlled most of my life, and where did they begin? 2, what part of myself did I abandon to gain acceptance or safety? 3, what would my life look like if fear no longer controlled my decisions? 4, what beliefs about myself am I finally ready to release? 5, what does most authentic versions of me look and feel like? Find a comfortable position. Allow your body to soften. Relax your shoulders unclench your jaw. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Today's about releasing fear, not fighting yourself, not judging yourself, but returning home to yourself. Take another slow breath in and exhale. Feel your body become heavier. Feel the tension leaving your chest. Feel your nervous system slowing down. You no longer need to stay in survival mode. You are safe in this moment. Imagine yourself standing in front of a heavy door. Behind that door are all the fears that were placed on you. Fear of rejection, failure, judgment, fear of not being enough. Now imagine yourself opening that door, and one by one, you begin removing the labels people gave you. Too sensitive, too emotional, too loud, too difficult, too broken. Watch them fall away from your body, because none of those labels were your truth. Now imagine a version of yourself standing in front of you. The real you, the authentic you, the peaceful you, the courageous you. Notice how they stand. Notice their peace. Notice their confidence. That version of you has always existed. Fear just buried them temporarily. I release fear that was never mine. I trust myself again. I'm allowed to exist authentically. I do not need to shrink to be loved. My voice matters. I'm becoming who I always meant to be. Now take one final deep breath in and exhale. You're returning to yourself. Open your eyes, wiggle your toes. Start waking up and feel the peace. If today's episode spoke to you, please share it with someone who needs this reminder, because so many people are silently trapped inside fear-based living and don't even realize freedom is possible. But healing is possible. Clarity is possible. Authenticity is possible. And your life does not have to be ruled by fear anymore. Thank you for being here with me on CJeanne Clarity. And remember, the moment you stop abandoning yourself, everything begins to change. Go ahead and send me your comments, or even, some ideas that you might want to hear. I'd be happy to listen to them and see what I can do to get those into onto my podcast. Until again, thank you for being here.